My sister-in-law asked to host her wedding at my house. Then she told me I couldn't attend, because apparently she'd been telling her fiancé that my house was hers. And when I refused to play along with her little fantasy, she showed up on what would have been her wedding day, banging on my locked door like a demon. Let me back up. I'm 34, been married 8 years to a guy I met in college. He's self-made, hardworking, came from nothing. His parents worked day labor and odd jobs their whole lives. His younger sister, 27 years old, still living at home, never worked a day in her life. And I mean never. She dropped out of college because some influencer told her degrees don't make you rich. My in-laws fund everything. Her food, her clothes, her ridiculous lifestyle. They're drowning in debt, but they keep giving her whatever she wants. I grew up differently. My parents are wealthy, sure, but they didn't hand us anything. They paid for private school, then told us to earn scholarships or take out loans for college. My brother and I hated it at the time. Now, I get it. My dad helped me buy my first house right after college. Well, he paid the down payment and told me to figure out the rest. I rented out half of it, paid off the mortgage, and now I own a 4-bedroom house with a pool and a massive garden. I worked for it. My sister-in-law hates me. She thinks I'm jealous of her because her parents take care of her while mine abandoned me. The reality? She's a 27-year-old woman who's never paid a bill in her life, and I've tried, gently, to suggest she get a job. She called me toxic. Therefore, when she got engaged to some Irish banker and asked to use my house for her wedding, I should have seen it coming. She said she needed the space, ceremony in the garden, dinner in the living room, guests staying in my spare bedrooms. She couldn't afford to rent a venue. My in-laws couldn't afford it either. It would be a courthouse wedding otherwise. My husband told me it was my decision. He wasn't going to pressure me either way. That's why I love him. So I said yes. I thought it's 2 days. I can handle 2 days. But 3 months later, 2 days before the wedding, she showed up at 6 in the morning while we were still asleep. She'd just come back from checking the preparations. She walked through my house like she owned it, inspecting the rooms I'd cleaned and prepared for her guests. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. Okay, so mom and dad will take your room. I'll take the room with a walk-in closet. I'm so excited to show them my big house with all these fancy things. I froze. Wait, your house? She looked at me like I was stupid. Well, yeah, to them, it's my parents' house. You can go stay with your parents or get a hotel for 2 days. You both earn well. You can afford it. I asked why we had to leave our own house. She laughed. Because it would be weird for my married brother and his wife to live with my parents, obviously. Therefore, I realized what she'd been planning all along. She was going to pass off my house as hers. Tell her fiancé and his wealthy Irish family that she lived here. That this was her life. And I was supposed to disappear. I asked if we'd at least see them at the wedding. She said, "Oh no, there's been a misunderstanding. I never invited you." I screamed for my husband. He came running out of the bedroom, confused. I repeated what she'd just said. He didn't understand at first. When it finally clicked, he looked horrified. She said if it bothered us that much, he could attend and say I was sick. But she'd already told her fiancé's family that her parents had estranged me because I was too toxic. I walked into my room. I needed to calm down before I made a decision I'd regret. My husband followed. He said it was still my call. He'd support whatever I chose. Therefore, I decided I wasn't leaving. This was my house. She wasn't going to erase me from my own life. We went to my in-laws' house that day. We told them what she planned. They already knew. They were okay with it. My mother-in-law said weakly, "We thought you were okay with it. You didn't ask why you hadn't gotten an invitation." My husband lost it. He yelled, "Do you realize there will be no wedding if she changes her mind?" My father-in-law panicked. He told my mother-in-law to call my sister-in-law immediately and make her invite us and apologize. My mother-in-law hesitated, but my father-in-law gave her a look. She put the call on speaker. My sister-in-law answered, annoyed. "Why are you bothering me during my spa session?" My mother-in-law said it was urgent. She needed to invite us to the wedding. My sister-in-law exploded. "There's no way I'm inviting that witch. She thinks she's so smart. If she's there, she'll outshine me. She talks about jobs and careers and investments. All that blah, 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 to grab everyone's attention. I don't want that at my wedding. Everyone's focus should be on me. If she's around, she'll make me look like a fool." Then she hung up. I screamed at the phone, "I make you sound stupid because you are a fool." Then I stormed out. Therefore, when we got home, I called a locksmith. I changed every lock on the house. That night, my husband called his dad and told him the wedding wasn't happening at our house. They needed to find another venue. My father-in-law panicked. He tried calling my sister-in-law, but she was drunk at her bachelorette party. He called back, begging. My husband told him if he wanted to save his reputation, he should call the guests and cancel. The night before the wedding was electric. I could barely sleep imagining her face when she realized what I'd done. At 6 in the morning, the wedding planner showed up. I opened the door. He said he was here to start preparations. I told him there would be no wedding here. He looked confused. He said my sister-in-law had booked the venue. I said call her. This house isn't available. An hour later, her fiancé showed up. He asked if my sister-in-law was home because she wasn't answering her phone. I said no. He said maybe there was some confusion. They had a wedding scheduled here. He'd seen my photos in the hallway when he visited. I smiled. You're right. I'm her sister-in-law. But there's more truth to tell you. This is my house. I live here. My sister-in-law and my in-laws live across town in an apartment. Congratulations on your wedding, by the way. It's not happening here anymore. I changed my mind. Therefore, around 9 in the morning, the princess herself came banging on my door. She was screaming, hysterical. I didn't answer. She called my husband, shrieking. He told her the house wasn't available and she needed to find another venue. She pounded on the door so hard I thought it would break. I opened the window and yelled, "If you keep pounding, you'll end up in jail on your wedding day, if it even happens." She screamed insults. The neighbors threatened to call the police. She left. I blocked her number. She bombarded my husband's phone with voicemails calling him every name in the book. He asked if I was upset. I said no. She brought this on herself. She lied to everyone, excluded us from a wedding at our own house, and called me a witch. What did she expect? My in-laws blamed me for ruining their reputation. They said I was selfish and cruel. My husband reminded them that their daughter was the one who lied, who excluded us, who took us for granted. She assumed everything would be handed to her on a silver platter. Therefore, the wedding was canceled. My sister-in-law and my in-laws went to the fiancé's family to beg for more time. Just one more week to find a venue. Her fiancé called them liars in front of everyone and canceled the wedding. He said he needed to reconsider the relationship entirely. A few days later, he came by to apologize. I told him he had nothing to apologize for. He'd been lied to. I apologized to him for not telling him sooner, though honestly, I didn't even know his name or have his number before all this. I felt bad for him. He seemed like a decent guy who got tangled up in someone else's web of lies. My sister-in-law has been crying ever since. She blames me for everything. My in-laws keep calling my husband to badmouth both of us. They say he should have done something instead of letting himself be dominated by me. He's thinking of blocking them. He stopped answering their calls. But she wasn't done. A week later, she showed up at the house again. It was Saturday morning. I was having breakfast. She started banging on the door, screaming like she was possessed. She wanted to hit me, she said. She called me a selfish, which ruined her wedding and her relationship. My husband wasn't home. He'd gone to play tennis. I sipped my coffee and listened to her shriek. A neighbor heard everything and called the police. He came to my door to check on me and told her the cops were on their way. She ran, literally ran away like a thief. She'd come by Uber and didn't have time to order another one before the police arrived. I opened the door and talked to my neighbor. When the police got there, I explained everything. The threats, the banging, the cameras that caught it all. Therefore, the police went to my in-laws' house to look for her. My in-laws called my husband later that night, screaming about what I'd done. My husband hung up and blocked them. We don't know what happened to her after that. We don't know if she ended up in jail. We don't care. We're done with that family. My husband blocked his parents. I blocked everyone. We've had enough. Here's the thing people don't talk about. Entitlement doesn't just ask for help. It demands your entire existence as a prop. My sister-in-law didn't just want to borrow my house. She wanted to borrow my life. She wanted to stand in my garden, sleep in my bedroom, and tell people it was all hers. She wanted me to disappear so she could play pretend for a weekend. And when I refused, she didn't apologize. She didn't reflect. She just got angrier. Because entitled people don't see you as a person. They see you as an obstacle to the story they've already told everyone. I used to feel guilty about saying no to people. I thought setting boundaries made me selfish. But this whole thing taught me something important. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let someone's lies fall apart. Not because you want revenge, but because the truth is the only thing that stops the cycle. My in-laws enabled her for 27 years. They gave her everything, asked for nothing, and now they're shocked that she thinks the world owes her a fantasy life. They're not upset that she lied. They're upset that I didn't go along with it. That's the difference. I'm not interested in protecting someone's reputation at the expense of my own dignity. I'm not going to smile and nod while someone erases me from my own house. And I'm definitely not going to feel bad about it. Some people think I should have been more understanding, that I should have let her have her day. That was just one weekend. But here's what they're missing. It was never just about the weekend. It was about her entire approach to life. She wanted to use me, exclude me, and then blame me when it didn't work. That's not a favor. That's exploitation. So yeah, my sister-in-law wanted to throw her wedding at my house, kick me out for the weekend, and pretend she owned the place, but I changed the locks the night before, and honestly, watching her bang on the door in her pre-wedding meltdown was worth every second. You don't owe anyone the keys to your life just because they've already told people they live there. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're the only thing standing between you and someone else's delusion.